Thank you.
Thanks for your introduction. And as John said, what we wanted to start before, to do before Roger shoots into action and talks to you about what I'm sure you're all interested to hear about, was to tell you just in a couple of minutes the process we went through to write this guide. So basically, we did this work in two years and a half. 2011 we started, and it all started with a literature review in which John has helped me dramatically telling us the findings we got about the limitations of impact evaluations, the difficulty of the impact evaluation for humanitarian aid work. So basically, one of the main findings of our literature review, in addition to focusing on working at the household level, was this distinction between contribution and attribution. Attribution is extremely difficult to measure everyone who works on impact evaluation knows that, but for the particular case of humanitarian aid, after a disaster, when there's many agencies working simultaneously in a place, it's quite challenging. So we decided to focus on contribution, and Roger's presentation is going to tell you the way we do that. We decided to focus on a guide which would be robust enough to collect credible evidence, but simple enough so that people in the field could use it. So not people who are researchers or academics, but people who are NGO staff. And we decided to use a well-known set of tools, both qualitative and quantitative, also so there is no additional there's no required of additional training, but it can be easily adapted to people who are in the field. So basically the way we did it is, once we thought about this, we designed our methodology and we designed our tools, and then we run a series of pilots in which after each pilot we would look at the findings and try to improve the tools and adapt the methodology. So it was a very iterative process in which all of us were actively involved, and the result of this is the guide that you will see today. So we did 3 pilots. The first pilot was done in the north of India in Bihar. This is a picture of the Kosi River, which every year floods. So it's a year that runs from Nepal. And well, this is a picture actually of one of the focus group discussions we did there. Our fieldwork was conducted exactly 2 years ago. Danny was there actually. Bihar is prone then to flooding, between June and September of that year, the floods had spread over 23 districts, with having impacts on people's lives. 70 people were killed. More than 2,000 villages were flooded, and this affected, a huge number of people, as you can see on the slide. The impact was on crops and on housing. This first pilot, what we did on this first pilot was basically pre-testing the tools, mainly the quantitative tools. We focused on testing the quantitative tools. And we started working with both professional enumerators, so people who were used to work with these tools, but also with NGO enumerators. So we wanted to, from the beginning, get feedback both from people who were used to use this type of tools, but also from people who were not used to them, because these were the people that we were expecting we're going to be using this guide. We need to keep everything short, so I guess the main feedback we got is even though we tried to do it simple, they said you have to make it even simpler. So that was the main feedback. We kept listening actually. Our second pilot was done in Chimaltenango in Guatemala. So I don't have a pointer, but actually if you look at the map, Guatemala City is at the bottom at the center, and Chimaltenango is a little bit to the north. And if you can see on the slide, the picture it's a very mountainous area, and it's very rural areas with indigenous population. The fieldwork was conducted in the spring of 2012. Roger and I visited. We visited three villages that had been affected by 2 tropical depressions. And the main effect of these rains was on agriculture and on infrastructure. The goal of this second pilot was to test all the tools. So by then we had modified the quantitative tool, we had simplified it, and we had also improved our qualitative tools. So we had key informant interviews, we have got focus group discussions, and we did the same. We basically visited the 3 villages, we worked very close with the enumerators, and we got feedback from the team of the enumerators on how to improve our tools. We also tested the data entry process, because we realized that, of course, that was part of what needed to be done. important feedback. They said, again, you cap simplicity, so again, simplifying. But they also said, I mean, we also realized that because of the nature of the work, we also had to be flexible. So basically what they thought is it's good to have a structure to arrive to a place in which you have a qualitative and a quantitative tool, but it needs to be adapted to the needs. So we also tried to include that into our methodology and think, okay, I mean, the result, you'll see a guide in which we have something, we give some ideas, some structure, but we are aware that we need to keep simplicity. The third and last pilot was done in Batticaloa, Sri Lanka, so that's to the west of the island. That's a photo of a school. The fieldwork took place in May 2011, and that was Vivian, Roger, and Federica Chiappe, who's here in the audience, who attended the fieldwork. The district had been affected by floods between December and February, the months before, because of heavy rains, and again, I mean, the impact was mainly on crops and on houses. In addition, in this region, people were also affected by recent population displacement during the Civil War, and they also were exposed to other threats, which were droughts and the destruction of crops and buildings by elephants. At that stage, I mean, we got relatively good feedback on the tools and process. I think people felt more comfortable with what we have done, but they still said, but you still need to simplify it. So we've tried to do that. So I hope that what Roger presents is simple enough. And I guess the main output of this pilot was that, I mean, by then as a team, we felt much more comfortable to think about the general analysis and to get to what Roger will be talking about, which is the output of our work, the contribution to change guide. Over to you, Roger.
Okay.